Hey everybody, how are you? We are talking with Reverend Walker today about what's going on in this coronavirus bailout fund. So I'm going to put on speaker. We're also live on his radio show. So here we go.
KPRT.
This is Ryan Derks to speak with Reverend Walker.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and get you locked in, and we'll bring you on, okay? Thank you so much for taking some time.
All right.
All right. No fuss. Experience the miracle of hyaluronic acid for yourself. See why hundreds of thousands of people are switching to Purity's HA joint formula. Claim your trial bottle.
So this radio thing, this is new. Radio while live streaming. We'll see. Here we go.
Stage problem. Stay tuned at the end of the broadcast for contact information. Now here's your host, the Reverend Willis Walker of the Christ Fellowship Baptist Church at Elder Freddie Bell. And as always, welcome to the Focus Live Group broadcast. This is your host, the Reverend Willis Walker. And B-Dub is on our engineering board today, and Lady T is out today, but we thank the Lord for him. Come over to this fine station. We're bringing you God's solutions for today's issues. My friend, the Word of God has something to say about every aspect of your life. And we thank God for you. We come to you by way of the Dwayne E. Harvey Funeral Chapels located at 9100 Blue Ridge Boulevard, right here in the city of Kansas City, Missouri. And the number to call is 816-763-9100. And then also the S&G Insurance Company located at 3620 East Independence Avenue, Calvin Walker. Call him and let him know you heard it on Focus for Life, 816-231-9100. We want to give a special shout out to the Wish Wash laundry service. And if you haven't got it, it's a laundry service I just started using. And they come to your house, pick up your laundry, and they take it and they have it back to you clean the next day. And so you going down the stairs.
Everybody at home watching, I apologize. You know, I'm new to this too. Do what you need to at home. It'll be on in just a moment.
Download the app, Wish Wash, on your app store and set up an account, and it's reasonably priced. It runs about $30-40 every time they come, but I love what I do. Amen. On the line, we have Brother Ryan Derks.
Yep, I can.
Ryan Derks is the wealth management coach, and he is on the line with us. Mr. Derks, welcome to Focus for Life. How are you, sir?
Hey, Reverend, good to hear your voice again. I'm fine, thanks for having me today.
Always. I am grateful. You work for Ravina Capital.
Yep, that's right.
And the reason why you are very essential for a time like this is because people did not expect things to happen that's happening now. And a lot of people were caught off guard because they were wrapped up in getting stuff and things of that sort. So you have some tools that would help us out today on the show. The economy is what it is, and so tell us a little bit about what you do and how you work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So here's kind of the rundown. A lot of people know there's a lot of economic drama going on right now. A lot of people trying to find out what they can do to protect themselves. Also, there's a lot of things in the news right now about the government doing money programs, saving people. What's all of it mean? You're right. I have worked in finance for my whole career. I'm also running for Congress right now to represent Kansas City and Washington, D.C. And so talking to a lot of people that I know, I decided to put together this, what is it, maybe a 14-page where all the money is. And can you hear me right now, Reverend?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So here's a couple of just the bullet points of what you can, or what people any person out there can have right now. If you run a small business, there is free money waiting for you right now. If you're an employee and you earn hourly money, there is protection checks there for you as well. There is, if you make under, say, $85,000, you're going to get $1,200. Do you mind if I just run down the list of some of the things, and then you can ask me some more specifics? So here are a couple of the other things. There's a part of it called the Families First Act, and that is if you have a child and your child has to stay home, there is money there for you to be able to get reimbursed because you had to miss work and go stay home with your child. There is expanded medical coverage, there is expanded federal programs, all of it that's medicine related. It's all being bulked up and expanded. If you currently benefit from any of that, or if you're on the line, you can call or talk to your the people you already talked to about your medical programs. WIC, SNAP, food banks, and food stamps have all been bulked up. There's a lot more of that right now for people. If you have any listeners, Reverend, who are veterans, the Veterans Affairs just got a huge check put so that they can accept more and take care of veterans even more. There are also tenant protections in this bill that got passed, and some of them are at the state level as well. So if you rent an apartment and you can't make rent, you need to talk to your landlord and mention the piece of legislation that just got passed. And the state of Kansas, also the state of Missouri, are freezing evictions, so people who can't pay their rent. Again, it's all in this PDF I put together. Now, that's only half of it, Reverend. Let me go to the other half, and then I'm just going to let you throw more questions to me. There's a whole section for emergency paid leave and paid sick leave. If you get sick, or like I mentioned earlier, the child situation, or if you're not allowed to even leave your home, there will be money for you to apply for right there. The credit card companies have been given a relief so that if you can't pay your credit card bills, call your credit card company and tell them this exact thing. And they have been given permission to let you halt payments. Student loans, do you have student loans? Same story. The federal government is allowing people to call their student loan provider and say, I want to put a halt on my bills. If you have a mortgage, same thing. If you own a home and you pay on your home, you can call your mortgage people and say, I want to put a pause. The federal government is giving them money so that they can stay afloat. Unemployment has been expanded, and now there's a new term called underemployment. So if you're only working part-time, or if you're making money but not enough, you can still go apply for underemployment benefits. Let's see, charitable work just got boosted, so if you make donations, that's a good one as well. I think that's about it. This is it's a huge bill, Reverend. There's a lot of money. A lot of people are getting money. You just have to go apply. A lot of these are from the same place you already get your benefits, whether it's the Social Security Office or the Department of Labor or the Department of Agriculture or just the City Hall here in Kansas City. So people have a lot to be protecting themselves with.
Well, is it hard to obtain? A lot of times the paperwork is so difficult, and what's the return time on what happens?
Okay, so actually, first off, that $1,200 check I mentioned earlier, that one's coming to you automatically. You don't have to do a thing for it. You're getting it automatically. The IRS is just sending it straight to your bank account. The other benefits, if you're a business owner and you want that bailout check, it could be, depending on how much you come in, it's a substantial amount. That is a 2-page document on the SBA website, right there on their homepage, the Small Business Administration. The rest of them, it's not difficult. You just have to make a phone call because they are all expecting it. They all know by now. This is about just over a week old. So all of the people in these different branches or companies that I just described, they all know they're ready for your phone call. You just have to pick up the phone.
Now let me ask you, how is it important? One thing I think that really kind of saved me a little bit was how important is it for people to save up for times like this? We live in a time where people just spend everything they make. How important is it to save up and have a cushion there?
Gosh, Reverend, that's the core of this whole issue. There are countries in Europe where it's the norm for you to save about 10 to 12 months of expenses. I don't know anybody in America who has 12 months of expenses saved up. So that's a really good point you bring up. As an individual, we're going to have to, after this whole thing, we get back to on our feet, we're going to have to really consider what it means to prepare for a rainy day. You know, you have the topics of your radio show are based in the Christian religion. You know, the whole story of Moses and the ark. You need to prepare for that flood that will come and affect your life one day. And this is a great example of what happens when you don't have your ark built for that flood. So yeah, savings are super important.
Yeah, and then also investments. Also, the scripture makes reference to over in Proverbs. It says a wise man would save for the future, but the foolish man spends everything he makes. And a lot of people were caught off guard as a result of this, and that's why all the stresses and the tempers are flaring, and because they weren't prepared for times such as this.
Yeah, you're right. It's a really.
A couple years ago, I was in a nursing home, and if I had what I had saved up, it could have took me and put me in the poorhouse.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, try to save 3 to 6 months of your income, your monthly income, up in a savings account, and put some of it into investment accounts where your money can actually grow. Because one day the rain days will come. It's not an issue. It will come, and when it comes, you'll be prepared. The scripture says a prudent man sees danger and will take cover, but the foolish man ignores the warning and ends up paying for it.
And it's so tough to change people's opinion when times are good.
Well, what do you say to people who say, "Well, I'm just living paycheck to paycheck"?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, I would say, do you know who Dave Ramsey is, Reverend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know his daughter. Very good. Me and daughter friend.
Oh, very good. Dave Ramsey is such a good guy. He's got such a good concept and easy to understand program. It's called Financial Peace University. People who are living paycheck to paycheck, you're not alone. There's millions of people in America, but it's one of these things where just because you're living paycheck to paycheck today doesn't mean you have to be forever. So first things, make a budget, do the Dave Ramsey stuff, figure out where your money's coming and where it's going. And then secondly, it can't hurt to see if you can't, I apologize, I just stuttered there. Like you mentioned, study up, figure out how money works and how you can invest it to make a little more for yourself. Over time, again, like we said earlier, it's tough to convince people of these things when times are good, especially when you're trying to tell them for 10 or 20 years down the road. A little bit each month can grow really, really fast.
Yeah, and the more you see it grow, the more you feel inspired to do it. I was at a point in my life when I was younger, in my 20s, where my paycheck was spent before I even cashed the check. So I didn't feel motivated to go to work at all. And the late Reverend I.V. McKenzie, he pastored Paradise Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a couple of gems. A third one I can't tell people about on the radio, but he said
Okay.
2 things that you don't want to get out about you. I asked him to loan me $20 to get to work because I done loaned some money out for people and they paid back, and I needed gas. And back then, gas was like 70 cents a gallon. And I said to him, I said, "Well, you just loan me $20 and I'll get back to you when I get paid." He said, "Well, I'm not going to loan you the money. I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to give you with a word of advice." He said, "There's 2 things you don't want to get out about you. Number 1, you don't want to get out that you can't preach, and number 2, you don't want to get out that you're broke." And that stuck with me, and I never forgot that. And then I became a tither. I became a tither in the church, and then I became a giver. And it feels good when you're able to provide for yourself. But when your paycheck is spent before you even get out, get and eat on the side good, that's why a lot of people don't feel motivated to go to work, because but it takes a little bit of time over time. Like right now, I'm self-employed, so I work on saving $5 minimum a day. That adds up to the thousands of dollars by the end of this year. And I work on that, and I have petty cash around the house, and then I have $1,000 in my emergency fund that I've saved up. And now I'm working on my third monthly income. So when you feel wealth is gotten little by little, but you have to work at it.
Yeah, and you say that there's a really good book written by a guy. It was a New York Times bestseller for something like 10 years or something. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the whole book, it's super easy. It's a short book, and he just outlines you have two types of people. You have people who earn money and then they buy stuff, cars, clothes, food, whatever, and then you have people who earn money. They buy assets that pay them, and then with those assets, they buy their stuff. And an asset, what's an asset? Well, your car is not an asset because you can't sell your car for more than what you bought it for. A couch is not an asset. Assets would be like stocks or, precious metals or what else? Real estate, things like that. And then from the income, then you buy the fun stuff that you want, and that's how you build wealth. You have to really know. One of the things I've been talking with people a lot the last couple of months on this political campaign I'm doing is personal responsibility. There's a system, all right? There's a very simple set of rules in our country as far as how business works and how finance works and how money works. And how can you ever win the game if you don't know the rules to the game? And there's a lot of people, even in our city, Reverend, who don't know how money works and they don't know the game. So how are you ever going to get out of that situation where you're, like you mentioned, going paycheck to paycheck when you were a young man to how you are now, where you say, okay, these are the rules. That's how it works. Okay, so when my paycheck first comes in, I'll take 10% of it away immediately for myself, and then the rest can go towards my bills and whatnot. But you got to know the rules of the game. And like I mentioned earlier, that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, outlines the rules. That guy, Dave Ramsey, he's a multi-millionaire with a very successful radio show every day, just talking about the rules. You got to know the rules to the game.
Well, yes, because poverty is a mindset. Ben Carson had it right. He said poverty is a mindset, and so if you don't have the right mindset, then the principle doesn't work for you. What do you say to people? I get this question all the time. They working 2-3 jobs, and they say, I got to do this. And I said to one person, I said, well, I don't think you have a job problem. I think you have a budgeting problem, and you have to budget. Some things you could do without that $1,000 phone, that car.
Yeah.
You gotta find ways to make cuts. Until you get back on track. And when you get back on track, when you got a cushion there, then it doesn't matter what when you're struggling, you have to make cuts and have to throw things overboard sometimes.
Well, Reverend, I can completely relate to those people because we live in a country right now where if you don't have the newest phone, the newest car, the newest clothes, you're some type of nasty person, right? And there's a weirdo. There's this cultural pressure to have all the newest. And in fact, I was just talking to my girlfriend earlier this week. I looked at my Verizon cell phone bill and I'm paying $120 a month when I've used Cricket in the past, and Cricket charges, I think it's $30 a month. And I'm just like, why am I wasting this money? I don't care. It's the same thing. It's a dumb cell phone. But you're right. That's a good way you put it. When somebody has 2 or 3 jobs, I don't think it's how much money you're making problem. I think it's how much money you're spending. And why do we do it, Reverend? Well, we do it to buy things, to impress people that we don't even know or really like. We see a lot of people on the internet, on Instagram and whatnot, who are posting all of their cool whatever it is, and we want to be like that. So we put things on credit cards to feel good in the moment, but then long term, our future self, it's so bad for us. So yeah, there's a mindset, like you said, that poverty mindset. If you guys really want to be living like Drake or like the Instagram models or whoever it is, like, you need to buy assets. Stop buying cars and clothes and food and whatnot. Stop going out on Friday and Saturday and spending $200 at the bar and the club. Take that $200, put it in a savings account, and then buy a duplex. So it's a cultural thing for sure. It's a very good point you bring up.
And then also, if you got children, your children don't need no $200 pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
But my mom grew us up on Kmart Blue Light Specials.
Yeah.
And we wore hand-me-downs. I got a cousin named James Armstrong at Bruce McBride, and we wore hand-me-downs. Studs in your jacket. We wore bell-bottom pants. You know what I mean? I mean, we were happy family. But you know, one thing I've seen that's happened with this lockdowns, I've seen families come together and they're having dinner. They have time with one another. You know, it's not like they got to go around to work to obtain stuff. And I think that's what they've done. They've obtained stuff and forgotten to give the kids their values that will carry them through life.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
you know, you say that, and I've noticed that also. Do you know that old artist Norman Rockwell?
Yes.
He's got a lot of these paintings of like the family and the child together. And I just saw that the other day, and I posted it on my Facebook, and I said that same thing because I'm hearing that a lot. Families are spending a lot of time together. What a perfect time for a family to come together and learn about balancing a checkbook or basic responsibilities of what it means to be a citizen, or you know what's right from wrong, or listening to your radio show and talking about some of those life lessons in the Bible. This is a great chance for parents to really talk to their child about, hey, you know, now that things are slowing down, let's make sure that we're on the right path here. I'm glad to see that. Addition by subtraction, I call it, where something happens like a virus forces everyone to stay inside, but at least you get to have some uninterrupted time with your kids.
Most definitely. Well, I want to thank you for appearing on the Focus on Life Group radio show. If people want to get a hold of you to amass that $1 million that they're trying to get, how can they get a hold of you?
You can just type into Google, "This is Derks," Derks. That's the name for all my social media profiles. So type in "This is Derks" and you'll find me on everything. You can contact me. And again, like I said, Reverend, the congressmen, the politicians in Washington, D.C. just put $2 trillion on the table for American citizens. Now it's your responsibility to call those phone numbers, email those people, fill out those 1 or 2 page documents, and get all that money that's waiting there for you. Keep protecting yourself right now and stay strong, okay? Thanks for having me.
Most definitely, most definitely. I will talk to you later on this evening when I get a chance.
Okay, thanks. Bye.